Hey, welcome to Lessons from the Boot. I'm your host, Ms. Brittany, and every week I dive deep into the personal growth and development that living here in South Italy teaches me, in the hope that you can gain some inspiration from it wherever you may be in the world. I'm so much better than you. I feel that I'm more qualified and knowledgeable to be able to tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong in your life. Even though I've never met you and even though I've never walked in your shoes, I feel that I am in the position to tell you exactly what's good about you and exactly what's bad about you and what you need to change. Does that sound familiar? This feeling where we believe we know best, even though we do not know another person's situation, is commonly referred to as judgment. And judgment is very sneaky because it creeps up on us without us realizing often. And it's a characteristic that is stemmed from, in my opinion, ignorance, because we cannot ever fully know the ins and outs of another person's life or their rationale or thought process, especially if we have never walked in their shoes or ever lived a similar life before. Now, I see judgment a lot on my YouTube channel, which is why it inspired today's podcast episode. The judgment on my YouTube channel often surrounds one of two things: either comments to do with my language learning or comments to do with the videos I show where I highlight the reality of life here in South Italy and not the perfect postcard romantic images that people hold of this country. And at first, those comments relating to judgment used to bother me. And I used to feel this need to defend myself and to rationalize and justify everything that I was doing. And while sometimes now I will respond to comments like that, particularly if I feel it's necessary to highlight the ignorance behind them, now I tend to really just recognize them for what they are and understand that that person who's typing away ferociously behind the screen of a computer has absolutely no idea of what I'm doing every single day, how I'm living my life, how even though I've been on a real journey with my language learning, I have been working here consistently in Italy for 6 years, contributing to society and giving something back. And, you know, any time that people want to tell me that I don't want to integrate, I think of that and I think, boy, they just have no idea. And this is the thing about judgment. Like, I really do believe judgment places people on pedestals. Like, who in life said that anybody is better than anyone else? Yes, you can have better physical conditions. Yes, you can have like better finances maybe. Yes, you could have, I don't know, a better home or better lifestyle or way of life. But in the grand scheme of things, we are all intrinsically the same. We are all human. We are all wired the same. We all use the toilet in the same way. We all brush our teeth every day. Like, we are all the same intrinsically. There is no need in life sometimes to have these pedestals and to look down on other people as if they are somewhat lower than what you are. I think judgment stems from insecurity. It comes from wanting to take the spotlight away from your own life and your own inadequacies and shortcomings, and instead highlight another person's inadequacies or shortcomings in a way to kind of make yourself feel better about your own situation. People do this a lot. People aren't happy in their lives, and so they look for problems or kind of failures in another person's life to kind of talk about and distract themselves from what they really need to be working on, which is their own business, their own life, and their own improvements. And so this is what judgment is. And as much as judgment can hurt sometimes because you want to just defend yourself and be like, well, you don't know my life. You don't know what I'm doing every day. You don't know what I'm juggling, what I'm working on. It's often just wasted words. And this is why I now choose, or pick and choose, I should say, the comments that I choose to reply to when I see judgment, if I even reply to them at all. And I think sometimes we have to remember in life, when you do big, bold, courageous things, especially when you do things that question what society expects of people or what society says you should have done by X amount of time, people have an opinion about it because you're not conforming to this rule book that we've created for the way that we live our lives. But there isn't a rule book. And the way that we believe we should live is based on our own personal beliefs and judgments. And so this is why it's so important to remember that when you're doing something, especially if you're doing something that's a little bit unconventional or it's taking you a bit longer than normal or what is perceived as normal, because even what is normal, you have to remember that you're going to face criticism. You're going to face people telling you that, you know, there's something wrong with you or you should have done something differently or you're not a good person. And you have to remember we're all on our own paths. And the key to this is to look at your life and focus in on what you are working on. Judgment comes and goes. And when you start to really make something of yourself in your life, it is a magnet for people's opinions, criticism, and judgment. It's a way of life. And if you choose to let that affect you and impact you, you will never go after the things that you want to do. You will always be held back by another person's opinion who, let's be frank, probably didn't achieve the things they wanted in their life, which is why they feel the need to judge you. I share this because I think if you are dealing with a situation at the moment, which, you know, is attracting a fair bit of judgment or criticism, whether that be your decision to make a change in your life or whether it be you're doing something which is taking, in other people's eyes, a very long time. I want you to remember the reason why you're doing it. And I want you to remember that the life you're living is yours alone. Nobody else is doing the things that you do. Only you know at the end of every day what you have achieved in that day and what you are working towards. And I think if you are being true to yourself and you are really pursuing the things that you want to do with every ounce of energy that you can, then other people's judgments can just bounce off your back. Like water to a duck's back is the expression we have in English. Don't let it bother you, because if you do, you hold yourself back from the things that you want to do based on opinions from people who have no idea where they're headed in their life. I will see you in the next